I am here today with Sidra Condron. It's great to see you again, Sidra.
It is always great to see you, Patrick.
With your experience with RivalFlow and with SpyFu, and honestly, writing all of our blogs for so long and being our main content creator, what are some lessons that you are learning recently about content, about the new ways of doing things, or is it kind of the same business as usual?
It's definitely not the same, but many of the same things persist. I'll take it back a little bit. As we were launching RivalFlow and specifically the RivalFlow blog, starting to build content for it, all of us were looking at competitors that were out there, just new tools starting to use AI. And even going to a trade show, it felt like we had a good handle on what was happening and what was going on. But the launch of new AI tools to the market, it's explosive. They just keep popping up. So not only as we talk to people are we learning of more because more are coming to market, but even as we research, we'll do a blog post and doing a little research going, okay, I've never heard of that tool before. Now I need to go find out more about it. So it's AI is here, it's everywhere. It is part of how we do business. That very much, of course, has changed how much content people can put out, who can put out content, how quickly they can do it. But it hasn't changed what makes good content, what people still want to read, what people still want to find. And I'd say there is a twist, though, that there is an expectation when when I do a search and I find an article, I find some information, a video maybe that's answering my search, it had better answer it specifically. It had better cut to business and give me exactly what I'm looking for. So I think audiences have become more, I don't want to say demanding, but very specific in their expectations.
Mhm.
So
Do
I'm
you
seeing
think
much of that.
Do you think they become like the basic user has become more refined than they were, let's say, 10 years ago?
I think we have all become more trained. So I guess people are scrolling further than ever because they expect their specific answers to be addressed somewhere. Uh, they're becoming more trained. I'm hearing that Reddit is getting more popularity, not necessarily Reddit the page, but people adding Reddit to their searches
Mhm.
because they don't want to know what the Google algorithm is serving up to them. They want to know what other people like them are having conversations about. If I am looking for non-dairy recipes or maybe non-dairy approaches to a new diet, maybe I'm not satisfied with what's going to come up in my Google search because that's going to be very corporate. It's going to be clouded by companies that have their non-dairy products out there. But if I can go hear from actual people, that's going to change the kind of content that I'm expecting to see.
We are kind of drowning in the sea of sameness, and it
Mm.
seems like authenticity just keeps coming up and answering specific questions. Can you, I hear these phrases a lot, but can you give like a specific example or kind of zoom in on that and see and let us know what that means kind of in the real world in practice?
Absolutely. So years back, there was a method that many of us embraced and loved and talked about and spread, and it was that skyscraper technique
Uh-huh.
of take a fantastic article, whether your competitor's writing it or if it's in a space that you want to get into. You take that article, you make your own version, and then you build on it. So you're making it taller, you're building and you're making your skyscraper. Great concept, especially when Google was starting to reward a lot of extra content, and that by nature would make you a little more thorough. And the side effect, unfortunately, was you saw a lot of copy and paste and copy and paste and slightly modify. And so many articles on one topic, they're not using the same verbiage, but they're using the same ideas and they're covering the same things. And so when you're trying to do your research in a sea of sameness, everything you click on will be different. It looks different. It's formatted different. They might use different phrasings and examples, but they're talking about the same thing over and over. And that would be the Sea of Sameness for sure.
Can you talk about how AI has impacted that skyscraper method and that with content?
Sure. So AI has trained off of those examples in many ways. That's probably the most basic way to say it. I know there's so many other nuances to it, but that's what AI trained off of. And so ask it, when we ask it basic questions, I know there are phenomenal examples that people have shared of how helpful AI is. And I fully embrace that and believe that. But for writing content, we will ask AI, help me write content, help me create an article on the following topic. And it's going to go back to what has already been put out there to process that and then churn out something similar. So knowing that that exists, I'm not saying that AI for content creation is bad. I'm very much a fan of it. I just think that there's an obligation to put your own stamp onto what you're creating. That might be adding your own perspective, coming up with better examples than what's out there. Or in some cases, completely disagreeing with what is being said, if that's what you believe, completely disagreeing and saying, I don't think this is the right approach, or I don't think this is the best way to approach this topic. So here's my point of view. And if you can have examples to back that up of why you're right, then you are separating yourself, not for the sake of separation, but you're separating yourself and giving people another way to look at a topic.
That's great.
Sorry, water break, ma'am.
Yeah, there we go. I'll take a coffee break with you. I should
It's
probably be drinking water.
right, Arizona heat.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it is roasty out there. So it's an interesting thing, and I feel like there's a strange dichotomy, like for modern SEO, because we want to add our unique perspectives on a topic, but also the competitive landscape because of AI is just so much more intense that we're having to also deal with levels of scale to points where I've never seen it before. It's like, okay, now we can create 100 articles. We better do that. But also we have to have a unique voice. How do you manage that? What advice would you have to kind of balance those two opposing ideas?
You know what? I'm not going to give my advice as much as what I've learned, because at SpyFu and RivalFlow, we have been so lucky to have Dan Silver, our SEO, who joined us earlier in the year. He is phenomenal. I cannot sing his praises enough. I've learned so much from Dan. And when you talked about, putting out 100 articles, not that we were trying to do that, but even if we had 10 ready to go, Dan would step in and say, whoa, 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 whoa. Especially with a startup when RivalFlow was first starting the blog, Dan was saying, just easy there. We don't want to look like we are trying to flood the market, flood Google with everything we have. So we would have our backlog of articles because we wanted to cover a lot of topics and we had the resources at the time to do it, but we created a queue and just started eking them out little by little. Yeah, we're just pulling back the curtain on the SpyFu RivalFlow content process here. So being totally transparent, we do use AI throughout the process, but what we end with is a very human touched and human wrapped piece of content. So it goes through AI for ideation. Dan will start with a keyword, which Dan comes up with through keyword research. They're using SpyFu and saying, here are the keywords we want to target. He will then, I'll keep some of his methods secret because they're pretty nice.
Okay.
They're pretty cool. I'll keep some of his methods secret, but he will use AI to help carve out all the areas we're going to cover in a particular article. So it helps him make sure that he is not leaving anything on the table. Then we will get some ideas of how to cover those from AI. But after that, it goes through the first round of human edits. We want humans to be able to say, first of all, I'm not sure if that's factually correct. There are times we have had, yes, we have had to go catch things and say that's not entirely true. We want to make sure it's lining up with what we believe, with the kinds of approaches to business that we embrace and that we believe in. And so when we're encouraging our audience to embrace a particular part of SEO, we want to make sure that it's something that we believe in and that we practice. So it goes through rounds of editing. We will look at it and say, that has a very, how should I say? It's a very weak or very thin segment. Let's expand upon that. And so humans will then give it a round of explanation, editing, we'll throw in links. That's a very human thing. We'll put things in order. We will add points of view. And so it's not only AI, we try to pull it from its AI base as much as possible to make sure that what we're putting out is authentic and is specific to us. If what we put out would not be found on someone else's page. And I think that's the differentiator that you want to look for.
That's fantastic. You know, it's I don't want to take an answer from you. We've been talking about using AI as not like a be all end all solution, but using it as a tool. Do you believe in that methodology? It kind of sounds like that is what you and Dan are doing.
Fully. It just helps to extend your resources, right? It helps to extend the people on your team so that they can do a little more. It helps you to make sure that topics are being get in front of the dog.
we got to get the name of the dog. But who's our
Bowie?
guest?
There he goes. He's
Oh.
heading out with his toy or curling up. We'll have him in the background. Sorry, but what was I saying about using AI in to expand your resources? Yeah, I fully believe. So it gives a team of 2 people the ability to act like 5, or it gives a 1-person show the ability to offer more services to their clients. Or instead of expanding services, maybe they can expand the number of clients that they take on. So I know I jumped from just content creation to what you can do as a business, but I'm such a fan of AI in helping you get started, helping you kickstart your content, helping you come up with ideas, and helping you even create the structure that your article is going to follow, the basic outline, and then you fill it in from there. I'll be very specific. Here's one of its flaws. I fully believe AI cannot write a good intro. To save its little robot, like it cannot do it. The intros that we've seen it sounds like the movie trailer guy saying, in a world, it's in the fast-paced digital marketing world. It is ridiculous, and it loves those so much. So we just delete, get it out of there, and here comes a human, a person to just, you want to write for people and you want to actually connect. And especially right off the bat, you want to start talking to someone instead of just shoving words in their face. And I really think there's a difference in how you write between shoving words in someone's face and actually connecting with them.
Oh, that's fantastic. I have so many questions right now. And one of them, because this is just a fun thread, what are other little observations that you've made about AI and and changes that you have to continually, adjustments that you have to make for this imperfect tool? Do you have any other?
Such a good question.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I know I'm going to think of so many more when I am, as soon as we finish this interview, I'm going to go, oh my God, I just thought of more.
We have to do a follow-up. We have to do this again. And
yes.
I can't wait. Yeah, let's
And I want to hear what other people think, because I have a feeling whether or not these could be tool-based, they could be tool-specific, they could be industry-specific. The intro is one I have just started to like get a little quirk about. Another one is bullets. I did not notice that until Dan pointed it out. AI loves its bullets so much.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there have been times it will just spit out a pattern of bullets like it's writing a song. You know, it's just like quick little line bullets, quick little line bullets. And it's just alternation where we've had to completely rewrite that. But you can turn that into something positive, because I would just take the little bullets and make those either my section header, you know, edit it up, or my first line of my paragraph, and then expand from there and choose a good header to separate each of those bullets. So it did help me to make something that turned out to be a lot more thorough in the end, but it's annoying up front. It absolutely adores its bullets.
Well, this is fantastic. This is actually a challenge because it's like we're trying to tell people, we're trying to explain to people how to use AI as a tool, but we don't really talk about the steps or the specifics. So I've never done this before, but for the next video, let us know what questions you have in the comments below, or advice that you can give us, and we'll let people know on the next interview about different tips and tricks that each industry can use to deal with AI and its imperfections and quirks.
I'm
Uh,
dying to know what other people have to say.
that's fantastic. Oh, I
Fact
love that.
checking for sure. If you're not fact checking, make that your next step every single time. When we first started creating blog posts for RivalFlow, and I mentioned that we had a huge queue of them ready to go, it took 3 of us to go through and read the articles because they required such detailed fact checking. And AI would just pull things out of the air. The way we picked it up, not just going through with a fine-tooth comb, but reading about SpyFu and saying, we don't offer that, or that's not our pricing. You know, RivalFlow's value is so straightforward: improve your existing content. And so when it started to say, oh, sure, use RivalFlow for your SEO audits, what? So, and there's nowhere out there, it's not pulling from anything else that says that RivalFlow is a tool to use for SEO audits. So we have no clue where that came from other than hallucination. So that is something to be cautious about. I know that our dev team is doing a phenomenal job of getting ahead of that so that we don't put that out in our RivalFlow content, but other generators haven't hit that point yet. Either that, or in their defense, it could be a very difficult thing to solve. So if you're going to be using AI for content generation, I think you just have to own that to make sure that what you're putting out is factually correct.
That's I've noticed that as well. And fact checking. Um I am impressed, like kind of as a sidebar, and really happy that the main thing that the devs are doing right now and that everyone's focused on is just improving quality of responses. The more quirks that we find, the more they try and knock them out like bugs. And it's really impressive how much the software has improved. Uh
It has. So I used RivalFlow heavily when we were first developing it.
okay.
Heavily, multiple articles a day. It was all I did for like 6 weeks straight. And then we got the product out. I started doing other marketing things. And recently I was able to come back and start updating some of the articles using RivalFlow, which is fun meta, right? Using RivalFlow on RivalFlow,
Uh-huh.
very fun. But I've used it on RivalFlow and SpyFu. The reason I love this is it gives me an opportunity to absolutely be in our user's seat. Having their point of view, what is it like to use the tool fully? What is it like, not just to see what the output is, but to take the output and then have to go use it and understand some of the challenges that might come up with that. For example, we have known that it was a challenge for a writer to update a page and say, it's a great idea to include this in my article, but where should I put it? So that's something that the team is fully working on now, and they're doing some really cool stuff. I'm excited about it. They're doing some cool stuff to make this happen. But that's been so helpful for me to use RivalFlow again, because I can see many of the updates that you were talking about that they've made to the quality, that they've made to the output, and say, okay, from a user's point of view, I know exactly what it's like because I'm doing the same thing. I have our editor up, it's live, whatever I add to it is going to be published. It's different than just saying, cool output, that looks really good. So that's been a phenomenal experience. I love that.
That's fantastic. That's great I haven't been able to use RivalFlow. I'm using GPT mostly for
Oh,
my.
highly recommend, even if it's not anything you control,
Okay.
go to any, pull up a blog that you're looking at, pull it up and drop it into Google Docs, and then go through that motion of running that domain through RivalFlow, and then go see if you can find where you're supposed to drop everything in. It's just a good exercise to
Wow.
understand what people are going through, because when you are adding something new, that's very easy. But when we're saying you partially answered this, and here's what you should add to make it more thorough, it can be a little more challenging to say, how do I blend that in?
Mhm.
So seeing what the team is doing and giving examples and instructions of how to add that in, it's very cool. And it's one of the features I'm so excited for.
That's unimaginable. Like working with AI and stuff, that's unimaginable to me because I feel like it has a very difficult time with context. And
Mhm.
so getting it all in there, that's going to be very exciting to see.
Yeah, so kudos to our team for what they're doing with this, because they're putting in so much work. It's
Yeah.
incredible.
Can I ask you, Sidra, what got you into content writing in the first place?
Oh man, that goes way back, way back. So I've always enjoyed writing. Even in my past position when I was doing more sales and a little less marketing, I never really grasped the sales in so much. I never loved that. I'd find things that needed to be written and opportunities to work with the marketing team. So I just leaned a little toward that. Coming to SpyFu 16 years ago gave me that opportunity to make that my full-time job. Uh, Content was still in its infancy. Obviously, content has always existed online, but making that the way that you connect with people and bringing them to you, that was relatively new. There was not a lot of school of thought. For example, when I got my college degree, they did not talk to us about creating content in order to bring in an audience. So there, without aging myself, but we'll just say I love the 90s. Yes, content creation was new to me in terms of using that to bring an audience to your website, into your business. So at SpyFu, it was a matter of, we already had really good word of mouth. We wanted to start giving people something to say and something to fall back on when they were offering that word of mouth explanation about this tool. So when they would say, oh yeah, this is a fantastic keyword research tool, you should use it, we wanted to offer a little more so that there was context and there was a little more follow through in what you could do beyond, this is just a really good keyword research tool. So that's how I first jumped into content creation, and then just being able to grow with the SpyFu team and being able to participate, just like you, in creating our landing pages and eventually moving into where we have RivalFlow and doing everything from launch and getting that product out. We're still learning everything, aren't we?
Oh, absolutely. It's a day by day adventure.
Mhm.
Um, and that's actually that leads to my next question. In this kind of new era, it's been such a massive change with the introduction of AI, and we've seen it in the SERP, we've seen it everywhere. Um, as a veteran in this industry and as a veteran content writer, how do you hold on to what you had and your passions before in this new industry? Is it like a big difference? Is it a big change that you have to make, or is it just new tool?
I think it's as important as ever. So
Mm.
if anyone got into this because they love writing, or not just writing, explaining things to people, helping people. I think that's the core of what it's come to, is it is helping people get to where they want to go. They have a search because they're trying to find an answer. They're trying to get to another place where they're more informed about a topic, where they have a lot more information available to them to make a decision. I think that's what it comes down to, and that's where your passion should come from. And it gives you even a leg up. If everyone is using AI, and we talked about that sea of sameness, your passion for helping people through whatever you're good at, creating videos, that's something you're phenomenal at. And I know it's because you love helping people learn and get to the answers of what they're looking for and entertain. So you bring that passion to what you do, even if you were to use AI to generate scripts. I know that you add personality onto it. I don't know if you use AI to write your scripts, but I'm just saying, I know that you add so much more. You add your point of view, you add personality, you add a type of cadence, and it sets everything apart because you have that passion and you bring it. So I know there are people who say, well, I'm not going to use AI. I'm a competent writer. I can create everything on my own. That's phenomenal. There's no need that sorry, I'll start over. I know that there are people who say, I do not need to use AI, and I won't use AI because I love writing. It's something I enjoy doing. I had someone tell me that she wants to tell her clients that she will not do that in their content creation. She uses AI for content updates, but not for creation. That is fantastic. That is something that's important to her, but she also has that ability to do it. Some people do not have the resources, the time, they're stretched. They need a little more help in getting going and rubbing that lawnmower and getting it started. And so there's nothing that gives you a medal and says this was written without AI. That doesn't exist. But if you have that passion that you can still write and get your personality out there, or create whatever it is, you're creating images, videos, written content, and you're still putting your personality out there, that's what's going to win, not whether or not you created your content a particular way.
Well, that's fantastic. And I think you hit a lot of the core of why we do what we do. Business is meant to make money. That's what business is. But a lot of us get into business because we genuinely have a passion to help people, whether that's through a product, a service, or content. We want to help people. Also want to make money, but mostly the core is there. How do you feel? How do you feel about that? Making a meaningful, ethical, positive change while also still running a business?
I think I'm glad you said that. I think you nailed it, because I forgot to go even further backward, that's why our companies exist, SpyFu and RivalFlow, because Mike wanted to start a company that was helping people. He was in a position where, what was he trying to do? Was he trying to come up with a company name, or he was trying to expand his services a little more?
Uh-huh.
And he thought, that's right. He says, people are not looking for, it was something about text extraction services,
Uh-huh.
whatever it was that those in the industry were calling it. I don't think people are using that phrase. I think people are calling it something else. And however he arrived at the idea that they were calling it web scraping.
Mhm.
And this was years and years and years ago. It's
Yeah.
far more ubiquitous now. But he said, if only there was a tool, because I know that there are people doing the same thing I am. They're trying to figure out, what are people searching for in order to find this idea, this product, this concept. And it was a reverse of how any other tool was out there. So Mike started with, what can I do to help people who are in the same situation that I am? And that was how SpyFu got born.
Hmm.
RivalFlow, similarly. I know, because I was the one who did it, I complained for ages anytime someone would listen of, oh, I have to update this article. I just don't know how to do it. I just don't know what it needs. If only there was someone just in my ear telling me exactly what to do, that would be amazing. And sometimes it was just venting and doing this again and again over time. And one day Mike's like, I think you might like this idea. hold on, let me show you. And so even just in the idea stage, telling me, I got so excited, and that came from a place of, let me create something to help people because you are not the only one in that situation.
Mhm.
So absolutely, I cheer on those companies that exist because they want to help people at their core. And I think that's why people bring them their business. Obviously, there are those that exist to make money. They're going to do what they're going to do. But if you return to your core ethic of helping people, I think that will help guide you to make the right decisions. And then the money will come.
And then the money. Yeah. Yeah. To wrap this up, we got 5 minutes left. What are you looking forward to? What are you excited about in the future of all of this? Whether it's RivalFlow or the future of the SERP, there's a lot of doom and gloom out there, and I don't think we talk enough about what we're enthusiastic about.
I love that question. Okay, so it's future, but it sort of has already happened. But when you said what you're enthusiastic about, I was so happy when Google just went full on and said, we're all about helpful content. We're all about rewarding people who are making helpful content.
Mhm.
What a theme we have going. I didn't even think about that. Helping people. But I absolutely did a little cheer when I first read how much they were putting into making your content more thorough and in depth and offer better examples and go deep into a topic so that people understand and they relate to what you are explaining. There's so many ways that you can be helpful. And hearing that, it made me feel incredibly good. I already explained I was terrible at sales. I was working for a home builder, and for a short stint, I had to do new home sales. I did a great job at explaining all of the features and showing them the home and getting really excited and telling them how that home was going to be great for them and their family, but I could never close. And so I would wave to everyone as they left, like, all right, let me know if you have any questions. And it was terrible because I never asked for the sale. And I was never going to be good at that. It's just the core of who I am. I can't do it. People who can sell are far better at that than I am. But I knew I was good at helping and offering them a vision. And sometimes that would get me a sale. My apologies to this home builder, not often enough. But that's why I absolutely related to this idea of just putting out content that helps people get to where they want to go. It is not always going to get you a conversion. It is not always going to get a sale, but sometimes we need to be brave enough to put content out there that doesn't bring you money. We have to just do it because it builds value.
Wow,
Maybe I'm
that's
alone in that, but it's something that I fully believe in.
well, that's a powerful statement, and I think you're right. Um, I'm gonna have to chew on that one actually a little bit. That's a really good thought. Well, Sidra, thank you so much for this went by so quick. Thank you
It
so much
did.
for sitting down with me and chatting with me. I hope you're down to do this again. This was great.
Absolutely, because we did not make one Star Wars reference,
We didn't,
not
no.
one Harry Potter reference.
I got my cup right here too.
Oh, okay, good, because you were carrying both of us.
Mm.
Yeah, because I feel a little disappointed in my contribution.
Next time we'll bring our lightsabers and wands. We'll be ready to go.
I'm glad to hear that. Yes, I'm all aboard for that.
Well, thanks again, Sidra.
Thanks, Patrick.